Hey guys, it's Ellie. So welcome back to another video. So today, if you guys know my channel, I am a visually impaired creator, and with that comes ableism. So I would like to give a content warning about this video. We will be discussing ableism and microaggressions that I've experienced as a visually impaired person / creator. I understand if you can't stay for this video, if you yourself have experienced this and it's triggering, I do understand, but I did want to give that content warning. And if you want to stick around to experience what I have gone through personally, please stick around and maybe tell some of your stories in the comments.
A lovely subscriber of ours commented on the previous video describing her story of being discriminated against inside of theater.
With that, I know it's a bit more of a serious video, but I will try to make my stories a bit more fun. I didn't pick out the worst of the worst. I picked out more of the ignorant of the ignorant stories of the, actually all of them that I've chosen are teachers and ableism within school districts. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, you guys, so story number one here. Let's start off by first saying, I first was aware of my visual impairment in 3rd grade, and it really started to affect my learning abilities because it was harder to read our textbooks and seeing the board. I tell my teacher, 3rd grade year was amazing. The best accommodations that I've received and a great introduction into what a good teacher is and how well a teacher can accommodate you. Next year in 4th grade, I believe I've told the story before, but we're just gonna say it anyways. I had a teacher who refused to have one of my special equipment in the classroom. It was fight the whole year because I had a large magnifying device called a Topaz XL where you put your paper under it, it's a little document camera, and it projects onto a big screen for you so you can see it. She wouldn't have it in her classroom and I needed to be in the front of the class. Well, my machine can't be in the front of the class, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll move if we have to do work. But then she wouldn't let me move closer to our note-taking, our little projector screens during note time. So I couldn't see the material. She refused to repeat anything to me or give me notes in advance. And it was a whole battle the whole school year. I just had to stick it out as a child. The school wasn't doing anything about it. The teacher wasn't accommodating us. And it was a really hard year and no one knew how to handle it because I was still fairly new to visual impairment. My parents didn't know as much about how to advocate and really set boundaries with the teachers. You need to do this, you need to do this. So unfortunately 4th grade year was not the best, but I made it good by being me. So our next story here is about a teacher who I had recently, who I had a year prior, and this was before the pandemic. I had saw the teacher in the hallways and I said, oh, hey, sir, how you doing? We were catching up. Oh, blah, 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 pretty good. How are you doing? Oh, I'm actually getting a guide dog. I was telling them, oh, I have a guide dog. And then he noticed my cane and proceeded to look at me weird and say,
what's that? Why do you have that stick?
And I said, oh, well, I'm visually impaired. I've had this for forever. And you've seen me use it before. And he's like,
oh, well, you're not actually blind. You don't need it.
You're not actually blind. You don't need it. I do need it. So I proceeded to say, yes, I do. You've had me as a teacher. You should know out of all people that I am visually impaired and that, I need large print. I can't see. I have a lack of depth perception that I needed to be in the front of the class. You know that more than anyone as someone who's been my teacher, so why are you questioning my vision impairment? And the teacher was kind of speechless afterwards because he's a dumb man. I'm just very disappointed in that teacher, especially because I had that teacher the year prior and they know how much of a pain of a butt I am if I do not have my accommodations the way that they are supposed to be. I didn't know that you could report them to the California Board of Education. So when I later told that story to a friend, he then reported the teacher for me. So thanks, friend. All right, let's go ahead and go on to 2 other stories that are more little like microaggression comments that I know they were being nice, at least trying to be nice and helpful, but that's not something you say. So let's go. Okay, so our first little microaggression comment here is a teacher telling me that I should take special education PE because I couldn't do a certain activity. So one day I'm in PE and I'm extra, so I always participate and I do my best in my classes. Just so happened that I also have knee problems and I've had surgery before, so during running units, I would just do the exercise bands because it's kind of hard for me to run on that leg. No worries with teachers. They're like, fine, you're doing some sort of physical activity, we'll give you credit.
Cool.
So we're doing a softball unit, and if anyone knows anything about visually impaired people, like, you can't play softball unless they're beeper balls, they're safe, because I can't see a tiny little ball coming towards me at, really fast speeds to hit it and then run around. I can't do that. So I tell the teacher, hey, can I just do the side activity where I do yoga during that period and just do stretches and stuff so I can still get credit? And they're like, yeah, okay, but have you thought about maybe taking special ed PE because, you can't seem to do some of our activities? And I'm like,
yeah, because I'm blind.
I'm visually impaired. I can sit out this activity. I have an alternate activity that I've proposed to you. You said you're fine with it. I do not need to be taking special education PE. I'm fine in this class. Yeah, they didn't really like that one because not all students need to be in special education classes, because for me, it's just a vision impairment. I don't have developmental disabilities, so I don't need a paraprofessional. I just need accommodating for my vision. So that kind of really irks me to this day, because she's a very nice teacher. She's very sweet. I know she meant it out of the bottom of her heart, like, maybe you should do this instead.
No.
So I kind of, told her, yeah, I'm visually impaired. I don't need this class. I can be in your class just fine. You just need to help accommodate me. Trying to educate her to, she has future visually impaired students, because not all visually impaired students need to be in special education classes, like I have said repeatedly. So let's go on to our next teacher story. So this next one was a teacher telling me that at times they forget that I'm visually impaired because I do so well, and that I'm not helpless. Yeah, Zach, I know you don't like this story. I know your reaction right now, Zach. I feel like some of your guys' reactions are like, what?
Yes.
I had this teacher whose room that I would sit in during lunchtime because it was air conditioned. She was just kind of chill. We'd hang out, kind of all do our own thing, and my group of friends just kind of hung out in her classroom. We were eating our lunch, joking around, whatever. So one day I asked her about an assignment because I had her for 3 classes that year: for speech and debate, theater, and I was also a TA for her freshman English class. I asked her about the assignment. I'm like, oh, hey, I need this enlarged, or I need an online copy so that I can enlarge it from there. And she's like,
oh yeah, I'll get that to you. It's really hard because, Ellie, honestly, you hold yourself so well, and I forget at times that you're visually impaired and that, you need special accommodations because you do so well, and even when I forget, you just do the assignment.
yeah, I do so well because you forget that I'm visually impaired. I just push through it instead of causing a hassle because I'm a pushover. It's hard to constantly remind you when you constantly forget. People get tired over time, and it's a constant battle. Some teachers, we can maybe tell them 3 times in the year, like, hey, remember about this assignment, because they can forget, and that's fine. But if it's a teacher who's constantly forgetting, that's when we have reason to concern, and now we just kind of say screw it and just forget all about the teacher, because it's annoying. We don't want to have to constantly leave class to go enlarge our materials ourselves because the teachers can't do size 1824 font for you and then call it a day. It's really not hard. They just forget that you're visually impaired, because in their world, accommodating you is harder than it is to see you thriving with accommodations. That's more work for them, and why would the teachers have to put in more effort than what they're paid for? Which honestly, I feel like teachers should get paid more, because they're literally raising kids. They're educating the youth. Y'all need to educate yourselves as teachers to accommodate students with disabilities, because if you're not going to accommodate your students, you shouldn't be a teacher, because there are more and more general education students with disabilities coming in, because special education classes can sometimes be demeaning for the students, and it's really hard for us because we're now labeled as special education students, and to me, that is a bad word. Disability is not a bad word, but special education is. That now puts a label on us. it is very similar to the R word, in my opinion, by how much stigma has been put around it and how people view it. And now it's a way of people viewing disabilities. So now there's that public stigma that special education students are not capable of doing things, when we very much are. And it causes an internalized ableism within students. And from these comments today, you can see how people build up internalized ableism over time because of teachers forgetting about our visual impairment and then, you know, saying that, you know, we do so well, or teachers suggesting we should be in a special education class when we're doing just fine in a general ed class with accommodations. Teachers saying that we're not really blind and that, you know, we don't need our cane because they don't know what our vision's like, but they like to assume that just because I'm not the stereotypical blind girl with sunglasses on and cane and feeling around everywhere, that I am faking it. So not only have students who, you know, they get a little bit of pass on it because they're students, they're young, they get to make these mistakes, but teachers, staff members who have gone through school, who have gone through training, who have been informed about students and people with disabilities, they don't get an excuse because they're older. They should be more informed, they should be more educated, especially as teachers, which is really heartbreaking that students have to come up and say to teachers that they're not faking their vision, that their vision is real, that they have to constantly remind their teachers for accommodations. Accommodations should just be given. Your case manager, your IEP team, and you need to stand up for yourself and advocate, because finding your voice is really the only way we can get accommodations, because teachers are obviously not going to do it for us and they're going to assume the worst of us, that we're faking it, that we don't really need them. Maybe we should be in a different class. They don't want to have to deal with it, which is really, really rough. Okay, you guys, that kind of ended on a really rough note there, but let's all push forward together to advocate more for ourselves and really break that stereotype of deaf people, blind people, people with mobility issues, people with developmental issues. We are here. We can do things independently. We just need accommodations in order to do certain things, and that is not a limitation. That helps us all grow as a whole, and we need more people to be understanding, because if us as students can be understanding for teachers who are behind in grading because their life is so rough, yet not accommodate their students and maybe excuse some assignments, we need to teach them a lesson. Let's keep pushing and working together to do it. Let's just make our voices heard, because that's the only way that change can be made. All right, so I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please share some of your stories in the comment below. Ableism, oh, so rough. I have so many stories to tell. If you guys want to hear another story of all the rough ableism that I've experienced within my life, please ask for more. Please like the video, please watch, please share this video with your friends. If you guys want a video edited yourself because you want to be an aspiring YouTuber, ask Zach for edit requests. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok. I'm actually have quite a few videos now, so
The links are in the description below.
check it out. Zach is great editing, as you guys can see in my video. Maybe Zach, you can tell one of your stories down in the comments below, because we have plenty to go around. It is like a little alphabet soup of stories. I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!